Good evening to you. It's good to see you tonight. And many thanks for joining us on this edition of KTN Weekend Prime, even as political temperatures are getting even hotter here in Nairobi after that landmark announcement was made today by Raila Odinga's daughter, Rosemary Odinga, announcing that she will be vying for the Kibra constituency seat. We've also seen Raila's long-standing political ally, Eliud Owalo, saying that this bid by Rosemary Odinga will finish him politically. And that right there forms the basis of our Twitter poll tonight. And we're asking you, do you agree with Owalo that Rosemary's bid would finish Raila politically? Do you agree with Owalo that Rosemary's Kibra bid would finish Raila politically? Do engage with us on Twitter by sharing with us your view on this question directly to me at Sharon_Momanyi and at KTN News, hashtag KTN Weekend Prime. I shall be sampling your views during this bulletin. Let's also take a look at other news making headlines tonight.
Nikisema ninaenda kusimama, wangapi wataenda kuchukua kura?
Will the daughter inherit the father's kingdom? Rosemary Odinga to run for Kibra seat. High-stakes game, DP Ruto asked Baringo 4 times to give Gideon Moi's seat to Jubilee.
Ananiambia Sonko, ile pesa ya wazungu ambayo bado wako nayo, acha nipatie bilioni 1 niwache wananchi wa Nairobi nimuuzie kiti.
Why would I bribe anybody for anything? My friend, do you know what a billion shilling is? And how many Kenyans would be in position of a billion?
The Moranga factor, why Jubilee has 2 rivers to cross before facing court in Nairobi. And where are our husbands? Kirinyaga families cry for soldiers lost in El Ade attack. I'm Sharon Momanyi. Our sign language interpreter is Meresha Awiti. Rosemary Odinga, daughter to Kenya's second Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, has decided to join the political arena, making a rare public appearance this afternoon. Rosemary declared her interest to vie for the Kibra constituency parliamentary seat in a move seen by many as the dawn of a new era of succeeding the legacy of her prominent father. But as Timothy Otieno reports, Rosemary's bid has ignited a fire from the least expected quarters. Right, let's move on now. We shall be having that story in just a bit as it's still getting ready for us. And Jubilee principals President Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto wound up their week 1 mass voter registration campaign in their strongholds by telling their supporters that Jubilee's quest for a second term is in their hands. In the western part of Kenya, ANC's Musalia Mudavadi warned his supporters that even the strongest unity among the leaders would be nothing if they don't turn out to support those leaders with their votes. But as Duncan Haemba reports, the easy part is over for the politicians, and now the big headache begins.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has been combing his central Kenya backyard for 3 days in the voter registration drive, landed in Meru's, Laare and Maua towns.
Lakini ile hatutaki ni watu wapiga. Viongozi akikuambia we kwenda piga mtu mwingine, we mwambie peleka watoto yako, mimi niwache, mimi sitaki vita. Si namna hiyo.
While his deputy William Ruto had the more challenging task of canvassing the home turf of Baringo Senator and arch nemesis Gideon Moi in Baringo.
Na tumekubaliana kabinet hii ya kwamba kura ya rais ni ya Jubilee, kweli si kweli? Ya gavana ni ya Jubilee, kweli si kweli? Ya senator ni ya Jubilee, kweli si kweli? Ya senator ni ya Jubilee, kweli si kweli? Ya senator ni ya Jubilee, kweli si kweli?
Ruto shocked his listeners by telling them they have an obligation to vote for the government.
This is a special moment for every Kenyan. You have a right to be served by your government, but that right is accompanied by the obligation for you to vote for that government.
But still keeping to perceived friendly zone was ANC's Musalia Mudavadi, who was in the border county of Busia just days after ODM party leader Raila Odinga left.
Hata mkiona tukitembea mtu anaenda pande mwingine na mwingine, kwanza lengo ni kuhakikisha watu wananasa kura. Ukinasa kura umenasa nguvu. Ukinasa nguvu tutanasa Jubilee. Tumechoka nao Tumechoka.
That we are not going for elections if the election law and the process leading towards the elections are not accountable, are not transparent, are not verifiable, and are not accurate. We are not going to do that.
But it seems the easy part is now over for the leaders in both dominant political wings. Having had it easy preaching to the already converted in their support bases, the difficult phase now sets in when they'll begin hunting in opponents' territory. Mudavadi, whose ANC party is landing aspirants by day, will on Sunday pitch tent in Bungoma, while Deputy President will venture in Kakamega and Bungoma counties on Monday and Tuesday. President Uhuru Kenyatta will return to coast counties, where he's always locking horns with the local governors on nearly every visit in the region. Duncan Hemba, KTN.
Let's now revisit our top story, and Rosemary Odinga, daughter to Kenya's second Prime Minister Raila Odinga, has decided to join the political arena. Making a rare public appearance this afternoon, Rosemary declared her interest to vie for the Kibra constituency parliamentary seat in a move seen by many as the dawn of a new era of succeeding the legacy of her prominent father. But as Timothy Otieno reports, Rosemary's bid has ignited a fire from the least expected quarters.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Have no fear for atomic energy, because none of them can stop at the time.
This was in January 2015 during Fidel Odinga's funeral.
He was a member of Israel, the 12th, and his group was GAD. His function was uniform. Rest in peace, Jah Rastafari.
Rosemary Odinga paying tribute to her fallen brother. She barely spoke for 5 minutes that day, but her short tribute would resonate so profoundly with many across the country, inadvertently thrusting her name to the national spotlight for a lady rarely seen in public. 2 years later, and the seeds planted that day in Bondo, Siaya County would bear fruit deep in the heart of Kibra constituency. The anticipation building up for those gathered here at the Kamkunji grounds, where she would ultimately make her announcement.
Nikisema ninaenda kusimama, wangapi wataenda kuchukua kura? Haya, vile mmesema ni vile itakuwa. Sawa sawa. Sawa sawa. Nitaenda kusimama kwa kiti ya ubunge wa Kibra. Haya, sawa.
That declaration, seen by many as the start of the mentoring of Raila's possible political heir, may not have come as a surprise to many. Eliud Owalo, Raila's former long-standing ally, who also happens to be eyeing the Kibra seat, in an open letter in December last year, revealed that there was a plot to impose Rosemary Odinga on the people of Kibra constituency. In a statement to KTN News, while responding to Rosemary's announcement, Owalo says, and I quote, "The juvenile misplaced excitement and unparalleled sycophancy exhibited in Kibra to the imposed parliamentary candidature of Rosemary Odinga may as well turn out to be Raila's Waterloo in his quest for the presidency. He should choose between reclaiming the Kibra seat through his daughter or the presidency."
Simba. I now present to you a special child. Huyu vile mnamjua ni mtoto wa Raila Amolo Odinga kwa kuzaliwa, lakini leo hii huyu Rosemary is my political child. Yeye ni mtoto wa Khalwala wa kisiasa.
Conspicuously missing during the announcement was current area member of parliament Ken Okoth, who some within the Orange Party have accused of backtracking his support for the party leader.
Tumeshikana chini ya muungano ya CORD, chini ya muungano ya NASA kusema hivi, Nairobi lazima sisi tushinde uchaguzi.
39-year-old Rosemary Odinga interestingly choosing to enter the political arena in the same constituency her father represented for 20 years.
It's a statement by the daughter of the former Prime Minister that many political pundits may say may be the first step into a political career for a girl who's following in the footsteps of a man whose legacy in politics spans nearly 3 decades. Timothy Otieno, KTN News.
Right, and that story on the declaration by Rosemary Odinga to vie for the Kibra constituency seat forms the basis of our Twitter poll tonight, and we're asking you, do you agree with Owalo that Rosemary's Kibra bid will finish Raila politically? Do you agree with Owalo that Rosemary's Kibra bid would finish Raila politically? I'm seeing a few of your views just coming in on Twitter here, and Mutuku Fred says, no, Rosemary Odinga isn't a Raila project, and that Eliud Owalo should not fear. Brian Odwor says, no, Owalo is a known loser. I'll take one final one here, and Alphonse Barak says, no, it's not about Raila Odinga, it's about an individual's right in the Kenya's democratic space. Do keep your views coming on our Twitter poll tonight. Twitters at Sharon_Momanyi and at KTN News. Let's move on now. And in the North Rift region, aspirants in Uasin Gishu County have raised concerns that a high number of residents have national identification cards but are reluctant to register as voters.
Na sisi kama wale tunawania viti, tumeona tutachukua hii kwa jukumu letu kuhamasisha wananchi ya kuwa wako na jukumu kama wananchi kufanya uamuzi. Ni nani ataendesha mambo ya Kenya, ni nani ataendesha mambo ya county, ni nani ataendesha mambo ya constituency, ni nani ataendesha mambo ya ward kupitia kwa kura.
IEBC has given the schedule or has said there is an existing schedule. But the problem is they don't inform the wananchi in advance. So today, even if you are in Napkoi ward, or you are in Kipkenya Simat ward, we do not know exactly which center IEBC is. So IEBC must step up and let us know in advance so that we can help them mobilize people.
Now, the Jubilee politics surrounding the governorship of Nairobi and key elective slots in the city has been charged and divisive, particularly after the entry of 2013 presidential contender Peter Kenneth into the race. Tonight, our reporter Murimi Mwangi interrogates the Murang'a factor, which appears to be the latest boiling point among the 4 main contenders eyeing the Jubilee party ticket in Nairobi.
Rumored in political circles as a possible successor to President Uhuru Kenyatta as the Central Kenya kingpin post-2022, former Gatanga MP Peter Kenneth appears to have walked straight into a political storm in his quest to unseat Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero. The attacks coming from his newfound home of the Jubilee Party over the 2013 presidential election when Kenneth ran against Kenyatta.
Tukiwa na kesi ya ICC, tulipigwa na watu wengine ambao hata ni watu ambao wangekuwa na support Uhuru hapa. Dada yetu Karua na ndugu yetu Peter Kenneth.
Ananiambia Sonko, ile pesa ya wazungu ambayo bado wako nayo, acha nipatie bilioni 1 niwache wananchi wa Nairobi nimuuzie kiti.
Why would I bribe anybody for anything? My friend, do you know what a billion shilling is and how many Kenyans would be in possession of $1 billion.
As the latest entrant to the Nairobi race, Kenneth will have to fight for the Jubilee Party ticket against Nairobi Senator Mike Sonko, nominated MP Johnson Sakaja, Dagoretti South MP Dennis Waweru, and former Starehe MP Bishop Margaret Wanjiru. The four have coalesced under the umbrella of Team Nairobi. Kenneth, on the other hand, seemingly enjoys the support of Nairobi woman representative Rachel Shebesh and Waweru's former close ally, Starehe MP Maina Kamanda.
They endorsed Eugene Wamalwa. They have moved and endorsed Peter Kenneth. We don't know where they're going next. I hope I'm next in line.
Many are rattled with my candidature. They would like to put all manner of spanners in the works. I think the most important element for me would be to see Jubilee Party win 2017 elections.
He owes Kenyans an apology. Sisi tumesikizana kama team, tukiwa na Sakaja, tukiwa na Sonko, tukiwa na Wanjiru, na tumesema yoyote atakuwa sawa.
But while the top Jubilee leadership has reportedly been rooting for a negotiated arrangements among the 5 aspirants to prevent a fallout way before the nominations, the Sonko-led team is said to be keen on a face-off through nominations, so that the number 2 candidate automatically becomes the running mate to the gubernatorial aspirant. But Kenneth could be facing a predicament similar to that of Water Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa, who was labeled an outsider soon after he declared interest in the city governorship. Wamalwa is said to enjoy immense support from Ruto's handlers. Kenneth, on the other hand, has the backing of Murang'a leaders. Some observers argue that Kenneth's entry could be part of a more fierce backroom tussle for Uhuru's succession, should he recoup his second and final presidential term.
If it is an issue of the flag bearer in 2022, with respect to whoever is going to be the deputy president's running mate, there are so many candidates, me included. All right, so there is nothing that we should actually be thinking about Peter Kenneth in Nairobi. All right, even if Peter Kenneth is not in Nairobi, Jamlek is in Murang'a.
What people are against is imposition of any specific candidate, is candidates being told that you're from the wrong community, and that's propaganda, because I can assure you that is not the language of President Uhuru Kenyatta or Deputy President William Ruto.
In 2013, Kenneth emerged fourth with 72,786 votes. Of these, only 15,662 were from Nairobi. By December last year, there were 1.8 million registered voters in Nairobi, with the ongoing mass voter registration targeting some 900,000 fresh voters.
Tulishinda wards 43, lakini kama tulikuwa tumejipanga vizuri, tungeshinda wards mingi. Na hii uchaguzi ambayo inakuja, tuhakikishe tuwe na kura ambayo itatuwezesha kushinda.
Now, with Jubilee keen to wrestle the capital city gubernatorial position from CORD, and with their opposition counterparts not willing to let go, the ongoing realignments will no doubt continue as the jostle for the 2017 vote gains momentum. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News in Nairobi.
Right, KTN Weekend Prime takes a short commercial break now. Don't go too far. More news when we return. Just ahead, where are our husbands? Kirinyaga families cry for soldiers lost in El Ade attack. Now, welcome back and many thanks for staying with us. Now, 1 year after the fateful El Ade attack, some families in Kirinyaga County are yet to know the fate of their loved ones who are soldiers in the Kenya Defense Forces. One such family says their kin, Samson Munene Kingai, might still be alive after they learned on social media that Al-Shabaab kept some of the captives of war. As KTN's senior reporter Carol Nderi found out, most of the affected families are clinging on to hope, even as they turn to post-traumatic stress disorder counseling.
This is the home where Samson Munene Kingai would maybe have come to by now, Kematugi in Gishugu, Kirinyaga County. However, 1 year later, since he was reported missing, his wife Judy Wawera sits pensively with only her missing husband's photographs to keep the memories alive. That, and so much more that they shared as husband and wife. The warm memories give her hope that maybe, just maybe, her dear husband might still be alive somewhere in Somalia. Munene was among the soldiers that were attacked in El Ade on January 15, 2016. The last communication he had with Wawera was on 14th January, a day before the 15th January attack.
Sasa alikuwa ananiuliza tunafanya nini, nikamwambia napika. Alafu huyu mtoto wetu wa kwanza alikuwa analia. Kaniuliza Fikia analilia nini? Nikamwambia anasema anataka mkate. Sasa akaniambia niwe na wanunulia mkate kila siku. Niwe naweka na flour juu anafanya hiyo kazi zito juu ya watoto wake.
She fondly holds on to 2 text messages that he had sent her from Somalia days before the attack. Wawera shares the contents of the message with us. One reads, Mimi niko poa pande hii, ni salamu tu. Salimia vijana yangu uambie dada kopoa. Na wapenda wote, have a blessed night. For 5 days, her husband's phone rang continuously when she tried reaching him, but on the 6th day, it went off. She had hoped that he would call her back upon finding her missed calls, but that was never to be.
Saa kutoka wakati huo sijaongea na yeye. Na naendanga Giligili wananiita, naendanga na wauliza. Sini vizuri kuwa najua fiti ya husband yangu. Lakini hakuna kitu ananiambia, wanatuambia tu tungoje.
Several days later, a phone call came through telling the family that a DNA sample was needed because Munene's remains had been found. With that news, the family was by then convinced that indeed Munene was no more. They started burial preparations and set a burial date. However, days before the set burial date, a phone call changed everything. The remains were not Munene's.
Wakapiga simu wakasimamisha, wakasema ilikuwa mistake.
Since then, there has been no tangible news over her husband's fate.
Imekuwa gumu. Juu tumeteseka kweli. Si hata watoto wananiuliza mama, kwani dada atakuja lini? Hata nashindwa nimwambie aje, nyamaza tu.
She is, however, hopeful that there is a chance that Samson Munene Kingai might still be alive. She recently heard that there are soldiers who are in Al-Shabaab's custody as captives of war.
Bado mimi najua mbona yangu kwa hai. Si nilisikia kwa Facebook, silikuwa kwa simu. Kuna watu walikuwa naongea wanasema kuna wanajeshi walishikwa na walisambaa.
As she continues caring for their children, this last one having been just 2 weeks old when her husband was sent to Somalia, she says her eldest son, who is 8 years old, keeps asking her about his father's whereabouts. Is he alive? Is he dead? The agony is too much to bear, she says. Heroes Oasis Counseling Center has stepped in to assist families such as Munene's. Founded by family members of military officers, counselors from Heroes Oasis, in partnership with counselors from International Professional Counselors Center, visit these families. Immaculate Kukubo has a brother serving in Somalia and is also engaged to a military officer.
In 1 minute they are thinking, well, maybe there is hope that my son or my husband or my brother is alive. But in another second they are thinking, is there really a possibility that almost 1 year down the line that person could be alive, and especially being in the hands of Al-Shabaab?
What does America do? It's been sending its soldiers to war for several years. What do they do to their soldiers? And I realized we have a long way to go, especially supporting the military families.
Still from this locality, 30-year-old Nancy Njeri is distraught. Unlike Wawera, who does not know where her husband is, Njeri lost her husband, Winston Irungu Njogu, in El Ade. She vividly remembers their last conversation before he left for Somalia.
Alikuwa na pancha ya mkono, lakini alipigiwa ni lazima aende report Somalia. He tried to yani alijaribu kuongea na mdosi asiende, but aliambiwa kwanza report then apewe ruhusa. When tukiachana, alikubali, lakini aliniambia kwenye anaenda ni kumbaya. Mimi nikamwambia ajipe moyo, Mungu atamsaidia toboy. Then the last minutes yenye tuliachana, yeye aliniaga akalia, which I had never seen it before.
She remembers trying desperately to call her husband's cell phone when news reached her that there had been an attack in Elade.
Kwanza alinificha kwanza tia ameenda escort. So sikuwa nakuru kabisa kama alikuwa huko. Then kujaribu kidogo nikajaribu tena nikasikia patikani for about 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks nikaona labda he was on the bush. Wakati nilikuwa the wanajeshi wengine, I had some numbers ya wanajeshi wengine, wakaniambia kuwa the network was iliharibiwa juu ya attack. So I kept on calling, trying, but the last day when I called so that I confirmed that he is not there, I was told by one of the members from there, Somali juu aliongea Kisomali, kaniambia he is one of the victims wale waligongwa.
And what followed days later?
Nilipigwa kutoka Eldoret Barak, nikaambiwa DNA inatakikana Nairobi. Sasa hapo ndipo niliona labda hayuko.
The hardest hit by the death of Winston Irongo Njogu were her children, especially her eldest son, aged 12.
The last thing which disturbed me kabisa ni after kunini mashishi. Mtoto alikuwa anaamka asubuhi anakunywa chai anaenda hapo kwa kaburi. Naanza kulilia hapo.
The councillors from Heroes Oasis and international professional councillors say it is a tough world for military personnel and their families.
You realize that most of these soldiers, Carol, come from very humble backgrounds, you know, where a soldier is the only working person in an entire family. So when this soldier then dies, that suddenly, where have these families found transport to travel to wherever they need to travel?
Actually, not all soldiers develop PTSD, in short, post-traumatic stress disorder. There are few who develop, there are few who don't. And what happens for those that develop PTSD, it tells you automatically, it goes to the family. And when it goes to the family, we call it secondary traumatization, that I am traumatized because my husband or my son, in case of those who are not married, is also having PTSD. When it comes to the children, it's equally the same.
And that much more can be done.
You know, the military normally has something they call pre-deployment training, where people who have been selected to go to Somalia are actually trained and prepared, the soldiers. We also want to do the same for the families. Who prepares the families for the trauma ahead of them?
We have a long way to go, especially supporting the military families. And for sure, studies have revealed there is no other family that will go through what the families of soldiers go through.
As Kenyans, we should always be praying for our wanajeshi wakati wanaenda nje. And then, let's say that tunashukuru serikali tu inatuendelea kutusupport, and we hope they will support till the end.
1 year after Elade, it is apparent that more support systems need to be put in place. Carol Nderi, KT News, Kirinyaga County.
Right, let's now revisit our Twitter poll, and we had asked you tonight, do you agree with Owalo that Rosemary's Kibra bid would finish Raila politically? Do you agree with Owalo that Rosemary's Kibra bid would finish Raila politically? And I want to sample just a few of your comments. We have Kariru Minority here says that it is one of the worst decisions by Rosemary. This will create bad perception that she's being imposed by her father. Yanyanza says that this one, Rosemary Odinga, is a Raila project and must be rejected. Kulayo Happy says that she has a right to vie for the seat, and the fact that her father is Raila won't stop her. Let Kibra decide. So 32% in total have said that yes, this is a political suicide by Raila. 46% of you disagree with that thought, and 22% of you simply do not care. Many thanks for your views that you have engaged with us on our Twitter poll. Right now we take another short break, but when we come back, sports news. Let's take some some sports news now, and Kenya Prison Service has selected a strong squad to participate in the National Cross Country Championships slated for February. The team, comprising of African champion Alice Aprot, Olympic bronze medalist Margaret Nyairera and Thomas Longosiwa, has 2 weeks to prepare for the contest.
It was not only a battle for top honors, but also a slot in the national trials was at stake as the Kenya Prison Service held its National Cross Country Championships at the Uhuru Gardens in Nairobi. In the men's 10,000 kilometers, athletes navigated through the seemingly tough course under the scorching sun, and it was Bernard Katu Muya who emerged victorious, clocking 29 minutes and 32 seconds. Justus Kangogo and Cornelius Kangogo finished second and third respectively.
Nashukuru Mungu sana kwa kunipatia nguvu ya kushinda leo. Na sasa natarajia kwenda kuingia Kenya team.
In the women's 10-kilometer race, it was a battle for supremacy between Africa cross-country junior bronze medalist Nancy Nzisa and 10,000 meters African champion Alice Aprot. It was, however, the latter who cut the tape first in a time of 32 minutes 49.9 seconds. Last year's winner, Pauline Kaveke, came in third.
Kulikuwa na upinzani mkali kati ya Kaveke na Nsinza, au pia si rahisi vile. Na hata Kenya imenifanya nitie bidii sana ni ile kuipatia komanda ya idara ya magereza heshima kwa ile heshima ambayo anatupa kule.
Olympic bronze medalist Margaret Wambui Nyairera speared her team to victory in the relay as she led from start to finish in the final 2 kilometers to win the race.
Kwa kuanzisha hii mfumo ya relay, naweza sema wamefanya vizuri kwa sababu sisi wenye tunajiandaa kwa zile mbio kubwa kubwa, at least tunaweza jaribu mwili kama iko sawa.
After a day of stiff competition, a team of 24 athletes has been selected to represent Kenya Prison Service in the National Cross Country Championships, which will be held in February. Abula Ahmed, KTN Sports, Nairobi.
Right, and with that sporting action is where we wrap up this edition of KTN Weekend Prime. Many thanks for engaging with us on our Twitter poll and for watching us tonight. I do wish you a good night and a splendid weekend ahead. I'm Sharon Momanyi. Have a lovely one.